Factors that influence the enjoyment of tea. When we sit down with a cup of tea, we continue a journey enabled by millions of years of evolution in both our bodies and the tea plant. Physical and psychological advantages and disadvantages exist for all of us, and there are many factors that contribute to our experience, some beyond our control, and often things that we are ignorant to consider. The following list, by no means exhaustive, is intended to list the major factors at play when we take a moment of our lives to have a cup of tea. 1. The dry tea leaf. The live tea leaf carries a significant amount of aroma and flavor compounds that transform during processing into one of the many colors of the tea rainbow. These compounds are created through a myriad of factors that affect the bush during its time spent growing. 1. The cultivar of tea bush. Is it clonal? Is it wild? Is it Assamica, Sinensis, etc.? The composition of the soil. Is it clay, silt, sand? What's the amount of organic matter, etc.? The use of fertilizer. To speed up the growth of the tea bush will create a less substantial tea. Climate. The average temperature, the amount of rain, etc. Altitude. High altitude usually translates to slower growing bushes, giving the leaves more time to accumulate minerals before they're harvested. Insect damage. In the case of teas such as Oriental Beauty or some second flush Darjeelings. The aspect of the land. A south-facing slope will receive more sunshine than a north-facing slope, and the amount of sunlight a bush receives will affect its bitterness. Less sunlight, less bitter. Any recent pruning performed on the bush. This will cause the bush to repair itself and take energy away from leaf creation. The age of the bush. Old bushes grow slower. They will create teas with milder primary flavors and tend to have more secondary and tertiary flavors available. The leaf picking criteria. Different types of leaves have different chemical balances. Older leaves generally have more compounds. Harvesting period. Early spring, late spring, summer, autumn, winter will all contain different levels of chemicals present in the leaves. These compounds are manipulated during processing via withering, bruising, rolling, fixing via heat, drying, and sometimes wet smothering, fermentation, sun drying, aging, microbial activity, and roasting. Therefore, the choices made from leaf to finished product are plentiful, and their ramifications are enormous on the final quality. Tea will then, generally, deteriorate over time, giving most somewhat of a best before date depending on their storage. To summarize, the potential of volatile aromatic compounds, taste compounds, cooling or warming compounds, astringency, bitterness, tartness, pungency, texture, color are all born in the tea, and this will be manipulated during the infusion. 2. The infusion of tea and water. All of the aforementioned compounds play a role during the infusion of the dried leaves and water. What is extracted from the leaves and its resultant flavor is based on several factors. The composition of the water, the total dissolved solids, the hardness, the pH level. Oxygenation of the water. How long has it been boiling? Was it stagnant? Is it fresh? The temperature of the water. Higher temperatures will pull flavors from the leaves more aggressively. The length of time infusing. Longer durations allow for more accumulation of compounds from the tea. Concentration of the infusion. The ratio of the tea leaves and water. The use and influence of the teaware. Clay, especially porous earthenware and stoneware, will greatly affect the flavor of the result, and so will the various metals used in, for example, the kettles or the teapots, the cups, etc. Suffice it to say that there are many factors from leaf to cup that exist and have been playing their roles between the consumers that are enjoying their results. But all of this accounts for what, 40% of the total experience? Because then you have number three, the drinker's methodology. With cup in hand, the methodology involved with the consumption and the olfactory related techniques become a factor. The temperature at which the tea is consumed, the frequency of sips, the repeated stimulation of the tongue can play a vital role in the flavor experience, especially with teas in the oolong category, such as Da Hong Pao or traditional Tia Guanyin, uh, Phoenix oolongs. The volume of the sips, how much flavor is being exposed to the taste buds and aroma receptors each time. The oxygenation of the sips, breathing in air with the tea, allowing for a heightened olfactory experience. The breathing between sips, slow, deep breaths, fast, shallow breaths, drawing air in through the mouth or the nose, etc. The movement of tea within the mouth, and then the speed of which it's swallowed. The methodology is something that can be learned and perhaps comes naturally through drinking experience. Breathing techniques such as oxygenation and retrohaling can vastly improve the olfactory experience of anything that we consume. The opportunity to have a great experience will be greatly hindered by improper or lack of technique. Fortunately, there is nothing difficult about improving such basic skills such as drinking or breathing. It is all in the willingness to observe and learn. Part 4. The drinker's physical perception abilities. The production of saliva and its composition. These are things based on age and diet, exercise, body's vitamin levels, etc. The density and amount of taste buds and odor receptors. The shape and the curvature of your nose. The condition of your olfactory system. That could be from oral hygiene, the potential of circumstantial changes due to recently consumed foods or drinks, Szechuan peppercorns numbing your tongue, miracle fruit adjusting how your body reacts to spicy peppers, artichokes, etc. Genetics that disable certain receptors. Certain ethnicities have large portions of the population that cannot detect bitterness of caffeine, for example. And then the differences in our body's DNA absorption from the tea as it passes through the taste receptors into our nervous system. We are not all dealt the same hand in life, that's for sure. Our experiences with flavors and aromas are not equal. From the threshold of aromatic compounds needed in a brewed tea for a drinker to detect the aroma to their perception of bitterness, these things cannot be changed. They make us who we are, and thankfully, as tea drinkers, we have a lot of control over the result that we brew. With knowledge of brewing parameters and how they can affect the result, we can fine-tune the variables to suit our perception abilities. Which brings us into the fifth and final part of this, the drinker's psychological state and ability. Don't waste good tea on a bad day. If you are not in a mood to have a great experience will not come. And these are things based on, culture, our predisposition of thoughts and mannerisms. This is a significant contribution to our overall psychological state. Memories, potentials for triggers during aroma and flavor exploration. Expectations. A high expectation can be met with absolute bliss or crashing disappointment. Expectations are important, and they are a major contributor to one's overall mood. and memorability of an event, and the attention one is willing to devote to a subject. Mood, the optimism or willingness to enjoy and search for an experience, or to allow a foul mood to deny such opportunities. One would expect to have a great tea while in high spirits, while the same tea offers little comfort when feeling sad. Attention, distractions ranging from social or work obligations, conversation, entertainment, etc. Alertness, sleepy, sluggish, drunk, normal, active, focused, etc. Olfactory training, the mental ability to dissect the configural aromas into their elemental constructs, transcribe sense into tangible words, etc. The greatest teas will evoke and create memories. This is a hallmark of their quality. The elephant in the room is that our cultures predispose us to love, hate, ignorance, praise, and of course many other emotions, both positive and negative. It is often a large part of our character, and something that is frankly hard to ignore. If culture predisposes someone to enjoy tea, wonderful. If it has the opposite effect, consider it a nuisance in the path of your enjoyment. Expectations, mood, and the amount of attention one is willing to give something, they're all influenced by preconceptions instilled by culture. If someone is able to temporarily rid themselves of culture with negative preconceptions, the amount of freedom gained and newfound power to experience something at face value will be an enormous boon to their psychological enjoyment. This might seem a bit lofty of a statement regarding leaves and water, but I believe it to be worth mentioning. These are what I've been able to conclude after studying tea for some years. Surely there, I guess, as I said, there's more to it, but I hope this was meaningful for you to hear. Thank you for listening.